It's the car that has taken the world by storm and could be the best brand new hot hatch that money can buy. I am of course talking about this, the brand new Hyundai or Hyundai i30 N. But what if you can't afford a brand new car? How about the awesome and affordable Mazda 3 MPS? Right, so what do you guys say that we get started with the Hyundai i30 N? It might be a car that you've never heard of, but it's a car that you will remember, and it's a car that I'm super excited to drive. We've got 270 horsepower, 2-litre turbocharged, limited slip differential up front. We've got so many cool things in here that I'm going to talk you through in a little while. So let's crack on and let's see what this Hyundai has to offer. Oh, and you can hear the cracks already from the exhaust. It's an amazing sounding car. That is the noise box well and truly ticked. We've got specs of 0 to 62, 6.1 seconds, top speed limited to 155 miles an hour. Now these are all numbers. What you guys want to know is how this drives. So in the hot hatch segment, we've obviously got stuff like Focus RS, Focus ST, Golf GTI, Civic Type R, Megane RS. Plus we've got this newcomer from Korea. I have to say, I think it's definitely up there. It's fun, it's nimble, it sounds amazing, it looks really cool, and it's priced super well. So this has the performance package, which means that we've got 271 horsepower and it costs under £28,000. There is nothing in this class that you can get with this amount of class and this amount of performance for the money. But don't think that it is a cheap pretender that's only going to be here for a couple of years and then disappear. If you put a big VW or even a BMW badge on here, then I would totally believe that this was one of those cars. The fit and finish of this is wicked. I love the steering wheel. It's nice and meaty, and I also like this kind of, the face of it. It looks really, oh yeah, I just want to stick my fingers in there. That's for another time though. The seats don't only look awesome, they feel really nice. And it doesn't feel too tacky. Sure, you can't thumb the plastics here, but it does look really good. And where Hyundai have saved money on the interior, they've spent all of that in the R&D of the engineering, of the chassis, of the engine, of the gearbox, of the diff. And it's their own diff. They haven't just taken a diff from somewhere else. They've made it themselves. So Hyundai is definitely well and truly intent on making quite a mark on the hot hatch market. Gear shift is really nice. You've got rev matching as well on the downshift, which, you know, isn't for everyone. In normal mode that I'm in now, the steering feels quite light. The throttle response is fairly light as well. And then you put it in N mode, sharpens everything up, the steering gets slightly firmer, and then it feels, again, more like a BMW. And that is thanks to Albert Biermann, who has pretty much taken everything that he's learned and done at BMW and given it to Hyundai. He's responsible for the E30 M3 and also the 1 Series M Coupe, plus loads and loads of M cars. He was at BMW for 32 years and he moved over to Hyundai in 2015. You know that he's here to make quite an impact on every conceivable market where performance is concerned. And this is awesome. Proper B-road car. Oh, I like it. It feels so good. It feels so lively. It feels light. Whoa!
Hyundai's confident that you'll like the i30 N too, referring to it as a cornering rascal. And they're right to be cocky, because the i30 N Performance Pack gets 19-inch Pirelli P0s, the aforementioned LSD, 5 different driving modes, and fun gadgets like a G-meter, boost gauges, and launch control. In case you're wondering what the N in i30 N stands for, it's two things: Namyang, where Hyundai's global R&D center is, and Nürburgring, where the hot Hyundai was honed.
This is the car that we've been waiting for a long time, and it's come from Hyundai. But as I said at the beginning of this video, if you can't afford a brand new car like this, then take a look at this.
Before we take a close look at the awesome affordable alternative, let's, just for the sake of man science, start by examining how both of these cars get from 0 to 60. As you can see, the i30N's Trick LSD and Pirelli tyres make mincemeat of the MPS, but when the Mazda does finally get traction, it powers on hard and isn't that far behind.
So we are in the Mazda 3 MPS, or as you guys in the US call it, the Mazda Speed. And we have a 2.3 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with about 260 horsepower, so they're not miles apart. The other good thing about this car is that they are properly rapid. Big shout out to Aidan, by the way, for giving me this for the review. He told me that when he was on the Autobahn, he got this up to 171 miles an hour. 2.3 litre turbo, inline 4, going through the front wheels. This car is approximately 6 or 7 years old. There's a problem with cars like these, and they have savage torque steers, or so I've been told. Let's find out if that is true of the Mazda 3 MPS. Basically what torque steer is each side of the car trying to scrabble for grip, and then it just violently moves the steering wheel left to right. If you don't have your hands on the steering wheel, you will die, either in that bush or that bush. Right, here we go. First gear, let's see what this torque steer is about. There's a little bit, it's not as much as people make out. So the first thing you will notice stepping into pretty much any older car versus a new car is that the steering will feel less connected. It feels a little bit more woolly. There's a lot more play in the steering rack. The brakes are not going to be as sharp as the new car. The power delivery is very boosty. I quite like that. Older turbocharged cars, you come onto about 3,000 RPM and then all of a sudden, and it's properly quick. It's actually quicker flat out than the Hyundai I30 N. The gearbox feel, it's got a pretty short action throw. These cars are actually torque limited in first and second gear because there is just too much torque, and if you were to put it all down onto the ground, then you would just spin up the tyres all day long. It doesn't sound as good as the I30. What a car like this needs is a bit of a fruity exhaust, maybe even a back box, but as you can hear, just sounds like a normal 4-cylinder. Well, there's a lot of torque steer actually. It is an entertaining car to drive quickly, mainly because you have to have your wits about you. Mazda cars and pretty much all older Japanese cars, the interiors won't screw together very well. There are a few squeaks, there are a few rattles. Everything just sounds a bit hard and nasty. It's not a particularly inspiring thing to look at inside, but this car did come with loads of optional extras when it was new, and one of the things that owners like most on this car is the Bose sound system. I was banging away at some tunes before some Phil Collins came on, and I have to say the Bose system is really good, very strong, really nice and bassy. We've also got satellite navigation, we've got cruise control, got loads of buttons on the steering wheel, so it's got all the mod cons, but in an older package. Prices for a Mazda 3 MPS like this, bearing in mind 2011, you're looking at about £11,000, which for a car with 260 horsepower, 165-ish top speed, it's pretty good going. And it is, like the Hyundai, a properly left field choice.
You can expect to pay £4,000 in the UK for an early 2006 MPS with around 100,000 miles on the clock, which, when you think about it, is exceptional value considering how fast and fun these things really are. Just remember though, that because of their higher emissions bracket, these first generation MPSs cost a bomb to tax each year at £500 versus the Mark II MPS's £295.
If you ask any of your friends to name a hot hatch, I guarantee that most people won't even remember the Mazda 3 MPS, or they won't even know about the I30 N. So they are pretty much like brothers from another mother. Just one's a bit older and a bit more dilapidated, and the mother doesn't really love it that much because it's just a bit too frisky and not refined. This is like the older evil twin that lives in the attic and gets fed cats and stuff. Can I say that? I can say that. It's also got a massive bonnet scoop, which pretty much is big enough to eat cats. You can get the older ones, this is a generation 2, you can get the first generation ones for about £4,000. They're not wildly different. Interestingly, the underpinnings for the Mazda 3 MPS are the same as the Ford Focus ST. If I couldn't afford an I30N and I wanted something a bit different, bit left field, but equally fast, I reckon this would be it. Oh yeah, you fighter. And it's only one of those cars that true car guys know about. You could rob a bank in this and police would take statements and people would say, I think it was a Ford, maybe a VW. You get away with murder in this. That is, if it doesn't kill you first. And I definitely have to do this.
This was your idea.
Okay. Welcome to a review of a Suzuki Wagon R.
The R stands for recreational.
Not rubbish.